All right, man. So I got a 2012 Kia Optima 2.0 turbo. This has a common issue, seem like with the wastegate actuator. The rod right down here is loose. This car's still hot. So that came off, got itself detached. I'm just gonna simply put that back on. I never had this happen before, but the symptoms are very obvious once you start driving the car. It just doesn't have any power, like the catalytic converter's stopped up. Like it just don't want to go. But you gotta take in consideration that this vehicle is turbo. The car ain't gonna produce but so much power, and it has that big restrictor, which is a turbo. It has to go through a small orifice to compress the air. So, and I'm like, okay, this is obviously a turbo. If you ever diagnosed a vehicle that had turbo problems, it runs fine motor, it just don't want to go, it starves. And it's starving for air because based on the tune and how the vehicle's designed, it needs forced induction. I'm being lazy. I went on Identifixed, and once I saw that, okay, it's something turbo related, and turbocharger was one of the first 5 things, so I didn't feel like thinking. And most of the people had the rod issue. When I popped the hood, came to the wastegate, which is electronically controlled. This rod was defective. Now, it did say you need to put a voltmeter to it. That's if you don't have the scan tool. Now, I did go. It states you need to put a voltmeter to it, look at the voltage value, and adjust the rod accordingly. I don't feel like doing that. Being that I was able to find the PIDs for the turbo wastegate. Where's that joker right here? We're gonna isolate this wastegate position. So let me show you. So the wastegate, the key's on, engine off. I can make the accommodations for the wastegate. That's me moving it back and forth, and I'm gonna close it. And I got it closed. It seems like it'll close all the way at 2%. And if I gradually open it, it'll go up. So here's what that looked like down below. So the key's on, engine off, obviously, and I can still actuate it. Now I did have a feature inside the computer to where I could go through an active test, but even though when I closed it completely to 0, the damn thing didn't move. So what I'm gonna do, I don't feel like putting any wires or anything to it. I'm just gonna take this off, pry the shield back, put this wastegate back on, and put an E-clip on the end of it, and we should be good. And that'll be the end of this. Okay, so I got adequate room. This is hot. It's hot. So I pulled up some more data, and this car did have plenty of time to cool. So I got plenty of data I got pulled up so we can look at the voltage. I'm gonna put that at the bottom of the screen as far as what will cause this trouble code. So from what the information did state, like the actuator was stuck open. So if the voltage is higher than 4.8 and lower than 3 volts, we'll get a trouble code in regarding to the boost conditions. Now, what I could do is put a hitch pin in there. You know, I look like it'll hold just fine. Look like it'll work. But I'm gonna try to put this E-clip in there first and see if this will work out. The only downside with these E-clips is that they came from Harbor Freight. Now I will say whatever was already on here didn't work that well, so I don't think it really matters. I just know these clips will lock in place pretty well. Hopefully if I can get it to work. No. What I need to do probably is take a larger one and close it off. I do have these bigger ones here. These are larger. What I could do is just crimp it closed. Oh shit. Let's try another one. Let's try this again. See how well that works. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. Way better. I guess that's a good thing with Harbor Freight. It's cheap enough the way you can manipulate it. I've used them on some other parts stuff before. Yeah, she's locked in place. But my thing is like, what happens once it get hot? Man, if I had to force it on there, it should stay. It's not like it shouldn't get hot and just fall right off. Let me see. Just my luck though. Probably when it get hot, it's just gonna wind up seizing up on there. I can't pull it off, so I'm pretty sure if I leave it sitting up top, let me see. A little over exaggerated for this one E-clip. Oh yeah, she's tighter now. All right, let's put this shield back. Damn bastard didn't want to really go in there. This was your tools don't want to work. Okay. Let's get bootleg here. Let's go back out. So we got some PID data pulled up here. Before we only had wastegate position and wastegate set point, if I recall properly. We didn't have the pulse width modulated values, and we didn't have the voltage. So what I was describing while I was installing that E-clip, the voltage should be below 4.8, but above 3 volts. So if it was below 3 volts, we'll get a code. If it's above 4.8, we'll get a code. When I initially pulled that, well, inspected the wastegate, it was just like stuck open, so I can understand that the voltage was high. So everything should be within range now. We should have our power. Let me describe the turbo, the wastegate. What's going on with the wastegate, it was just stuck open. It's an internal wastegate, unlike some of the aftermarket you'll see is external. What it'll do, this wastegate because it was stuck open, it did not allow the turbo to spool like it was supposed to. So if a turbo wastegate was stuck closed, it would make maximum boost. And once it opens, it begins to dump some of those gases off to slow the turbo down. So this was stuck open, so it just couldn't spool at all. And that goes to show you how sensitive factory turbos can be. Even then, I mean, most cars, like if the wastegate's defective, it ain't gonna spool, it ain't gonna boost, because that wheel needs to rotate. It needs all those exhaust gases to be able to make power. But this one wasn't, because it was stuck open. Now it's closed and our value is normal. I should be able to drive it and it should work completely normal. Let me see if there's any codes present. Oh shoot, I went too far out. And we'll clear those and see if we got any more trouble codes. So I'm gonna take advantage of this opportunity to go grab some food. So 2562, we're gonna go ahead and clear that. And all right, there's no more codes. So let's go. I'm gonna go on test drive and I'll come right back. All right, just got back from the test drive. Went about 18 miles or so. And so I'm just in the midst of getting logged in here on the generic portion of the scan tool, MK908 by Alltel. So we're just gonna see if there's any check engine light codes. Before we had something related to the wastegate, and that shows to be no issue. Just to prove that I drove the car, let's look at incomplete monitor readiness. This is going to be for this drive cycle. We should have very few incompletes. So we have some that are okay. Some of these become okay. So we did misfire and comprehensive component monitoring. Since cleared. So there was 2 during this drive cycle and since cleared. 1, 2, 3. So we have a couple. EGR system, you have to drive the car for it to go through that. Evap, you have to drive the car to go through that testing phase also. So this is fixed. Just have to prove myself. I shouldn't have to do that. Y'all should trust me right now. Labor time on that, I mean, we went right through it. 15 minutes with a cold car. It wasn't that bad at all. Just took off literally a 10mm fastener, prodded the shield back, found a E-clip with the assortment. If anybody cares, these are those clips here, and this came from O'Reilly's Auto Parts. So we're going to see the reliability of these, but it should last longer, if not just as long as what was already on there. And that clip is put in there pretty well. But other than that, man, this car is pretty peppy, man. It got some nice kick to it. She hauls a little bit of ass, so I give that car credit. If anything happens, I'll update the description as always, but hopefully we shouldn't have any issues. But just my luck, we never know. You know, when it rains, it pours. But other than that, hit that link, subscribe to the channel, stay informed, had a real assurance of my work. See you on the next one.